I wanted to start this review by saying I was one of the only people that liked Elysium. What's up, everybody? You've been warned. Yes, I liked District 9. Yes, I liked Elysium. And I liked Chappie pretty much as well. I can see why people didn't like it so much, but let's get into it a little bit. Chappie, if you haven't seen the trailer, is about this robot, Chappie, who becomes self-aware, conscious, and he's basically raised by Die Antwoord, the band, who are Johannesburg rapper techno people or whatever. They basically play themselves in this movie, and they wind up raising Chappie to be like sort of like a gangster because they need him for a heist at the end of the film. There's more to the story than that, quite a lot more, but that's the bare bones of it. That's all you really need to know. So let's get into the good and the bad. First of all, there's lots of different angles. Every little subject you've seen touched on in AI before, they kind of touch on it again here. Some people were saying it reminded them of Short Circuit. I can barely remember Short Circuit, but definitely, of course, that was about a robot that became self-aware also, so you could say it basically reminds you of any movie where a robot becomes self-aware. It also reminded me a lot of RoboCop because it has a lot of the same themes as RoboCop, especially with the one mech and then the bigger mech fighting each other towards the end of the film, all that crap. But I gotta say, the special effects in this movie were freaking awesome. That's one thing you can't yell at Neill Blomkamp for. You might not like some of the stuff in his movies, but his special effects are spot on. I mean, the entire movie is based on a character that's CGI Chappie, and the animation, the way they animate him, they gave him the little ears and the little eyes so he can have some emotion, some little things on his face. Really well done. Just like the way he kept wiping his nose, and of course it's played by Charlotte Copley, plays Chappie. That was awesome. The effects on him were freaking cool, and of course the special effects throughout the film are also very good. It's not quite as special effect heavy as Elysium was. You know, it's mostly about the animation on Chappie, and that's excellent. So the end of the film also, too, was a little bit different than I was expecting, so I liked that. It might not be the cleanest ending. The very, very end was kind of strange, I know, but it was a little bit different than the ending I was expecting, so I like that. Then you come to Die Antwoord. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. It means the answer. I was looking it up today before I went and watched the movie. But yeah, you know, they're South African rap group techno thing or whatever. And they basically play themselves in this movie. They go by their first names, Yo-Landi, Ninja, or whatever. And their weird, crazy style is represented in this movie. But the one thing I liked about it was that it clashes nicely with the mech and the wasted industrial area that they live in. Then they have this real colorful, sort of graffiti-esque lifestyle. It's pretty wild. I mean, everything's, you know, they're pretty vibrant, wild, crazy people, you could tell just from watching the movie. And then I watched interviews with that guy Ninja, and he's pretty much the same as he is in the movie, pretty crazy. So I thought that was kind of interesting, you know, and I think a lot of this movie is going to hinge on whether you like Die Antwoord, and I kind of liked it. I liked the scenes where Chappie was calling Yo-Landi his mother. I thought the scenes between him and the Yo-Landi were really good. They got my heart, you know, pulled at my heartstrings a little bit, I think. There's a scene where Chappie gets sort of like abused, and then he comes home, and, you know, she's like the concerned mother because basically he starts off as a little baby, and then, you know, he advances very quickly because he's AI. And by the end of the film, he's kind of almost like a young adult, and he acts that way throughout the movie, and I thought they did that excellently. And like I said, if you don't feel something maybe when you're watching this movie, I don't know, you might want to get yourself checked. I thought it did do a successful job of pulling at the heartstrings a little bit. There's, you know, technical problems with the film, and I'll get into that now with the bad stuff. Like I said, if you don't like Die Antwoord, you don't like Ninja, you're probably not going to like this movie because they're not the greatest actors, I'll give them that. But also that other guy, Dev Patel, who plays the head programmer, who, you know, designs the programming for Chappie, he's not that great of an actor either, and a lot of the scenes kind of felt rushed. And I was reading there was some trouble behind the scenes with Ninja and the other actors and all this crap. I don't know how true that is, but definitely some of the scenes felt a little rushed through really quickly. They could have probably done a few more takes. There's one scene where Dev Patel's yelling at Ninja, and that was just like some badass acting. I can't believe they used that take in the final movie. So if you don't like Die Antwoord, you're not going to like this movie. There's a lot of stuff going on with the Hugh Jackman character and the other mech also. It gets a little convoluted by the end. They throw a bunch of stuff at you. A bunch of stuff happens with Chappie, and like I said, it kind of went in a direction I wasn't expecting, so I liked that part. It was probably slightly convoluted. And then Hugh Jackman is like the most evil villain in the world. I love that because it kind of reminded me of Charlotte Copley's character in Elysium, how he was just sadistic as hell. That's how Hugh Jackman is in this movie. When he's in control of the mech at the end of the movie, it's just fucking hilarious when he's wasting the guy. He's like, just totally, you know, overblown villain, basically, with a badass mullet. And I mean, there's one scene in The Office. Maybe in 2016 you can get away with that shit in The Office, what Hugh Jackman does to Dev Patel, but I can't see that even flying in South Africa. I don't know. Whatever. I thought that was kind of And then, you know, of course, the robot company doesn't have the greatest security cameras, even though they show it has security cams. How come they didn't know Hugh Jackman was fucking with the robots? I don't know. Whatever. Those are like little nitpicks in my opinion. I did like the evil Hugh Jackman, though. That shit was funny. The giggling, the laughing as he's destroying the people. And then another thing with Neill Blomkamp that I kind of like is his whole weapons angle that he takes. I mean, he should be like advisor for like the U.S. military or something. I'm like, he has all these little crazy weapons he thinks of, especially in Elysium, but in this one too, he gets a few of them in there, and I was like, that's pretty cool, man. I do like that. I like the whole mech thing, especially, obviously Neill Blomkamp likes mechs. I like mechs too, so they make an appearance in this movie, and they look pretty freaking cool, I gotta say. And then, of course, the one thing I gotta mention is the in-your-face product placement. Like, Sony is really bad with this stuff, but the Vio computers, I don't know if Sony owns part of Red Bull, but Red Bull was thrown in there. And then, of course, the PS4, that scene was freaking funny. I mean, that scene actually fit into the movie, but it was just funny. It's like, grab those! And it was like a whole wall of PS4s, which, you know, excessive product placement. I guess Sony wants to be known for being the ones that help create AI. I don't know. Whatever. If you've seen Chappie, let me know how stupid I am down below. Comment down below. What did you think of the film? I liked it. You know, it's basically a story of a kid growing up that's a robot, and he's raised with a sort of awkward black sheepish family, which they bring in, you know, they bring the black sheep story, of course, into the whole thing too. But yeah, I don't know. I've been rambling. Tell me what you thought of Chappie down below. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5. Like I said, I like Neill Blomkamp's films. I like the way he does his special effects. I like the whole grimy South Africa look. You know, the almost semi-post-apocalyptic, even though it's not really apocalyptic look. So, blame me. I don't care. Whatever. Nobody watches my damn sci-fi reviews anyways. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. You tell me what you thought down below, and I'll see you guys soon.